I'm at your restaurant to eat your food, authentic food from your place of birth. If you know our language too well, you've been here too long. You've lost the authenticity.
I guess there's something to that. Yeah.
There is.
All right.
Also, it's funny.
Okay, so if you own a Thai restaurant, just turn it off. But otherwise, let's make sure you spell shit right.
All right,
I'm not even lying though. There's like all jokes aside. I get
appreciate it. I appreciate it.
That's fair. That's fair.
I appreciate it. This is Restauranttopia. All right. Welcome back to Restauranttopia. We got a fantastic episode for you today.
Oh, this is good.
Right? Isn't it fantastic?
Of course it's bad. You don't need my
You're always
assurance.
looking at me. You're always looking at me.
I am looking at
You
you.
got something
Well, I was
going
just
on in
thinking
that
of
brain
like,
of yours.
this poor guy is leading in the episode of his own topic, and I felt bad that I didn't take up the opportunity.
Trying to keep things moving,
Dude, and you're the best intro guy.
Be happy for you to intro me. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's
What are we
too late
talking about
now.
today?
I have no idea. You didn't share the idea with me.
Okay.
Anthony Hamilton.
Oh, you did.
Give it
didn't
up
you?
for him.
Yeah.
Brian Seitz.
Thank you, everybody.
Dave Ross.
Let's go.
We're going to talk about the art and science of menu design and printing.
I love this topic, and I know I sound like a broken record. You could probably just, how many times I love your guys' topics, but
He loves these fantastic topics.
I just,
They're amazing.
if 10% of people put thought into malt, 5% put thought into menu design. Like, we're opening tomorrow. Like, hey, can someone run over to FedEx and print these? Like,
No,
it is
It is your number one marketing tool.
for sure.
One marketing
For
tool.
sure.
Okay. And
To who? The person on the street or the person that's actually in the restaurant ready to spend?
how about that? And I want to debunk the misconception that menus are an expense.
No.
Okay. It's an investment. All right. So how many operators have we met over the years that, and the timing of this is probably bad because everybody's menu prices have gone up with everything that's going on with the industry. But over the years, how many people are like, I don't want to spend $1,000 to reprint menus.
To garner 55,000 in revenue.
Correct. Yeah. So I want to debunk that completely. This is something that shouldn't even be in our industry anymore. You got to take care of this. It's your number one marketing tool. You got to do it. So the first thing I want to talk about is quality menus. And what I mean by that is, the perception, the look of it, again, back to, talking about ambiance, like every concept's going to have a different, deal. So, I don't expect a fine dine restaurant to have pictures on the menu. Like that's not an expectation. I don't
They're
think
kind of
anybody
the
else
exception
does,
to
but
this
I
rules
would
for
like that though. I do. I mean, just out of this as a consumer, that would be nice.
Yeah, just go to their Instagram
That's a good point.
because that's
nice.
really their Instagram is the fine dining segment is so much different though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a list of items on a menu. I can tell you just in my experience, you didn't think a lot about menu placement. You didn't think a lot about that stuff. Yeah. It wasn't to me. Again, your menus are probably smaller than say in the family sector, but it wasn't as worried about, so to speak.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's a perception. Again, it's your number one marketing tool. So when you open up or the menu is placed in front of you, that's the first initial perception of the experience, right? Other than the lighting and the music and all, But you sit down and this, you're ready to look to see what do I want to eat. I'm starving. I'm ready to make my selection. Am I opening it up like a book? Here, is it double-sided? Is it folded open? Like whatever it is, but it should match what you're trying to accomplish and get the person to feel. Clean, professional. Can you read it? I mean, it's amazing how many menus you look at and like this font and the color, and you're like, I'm having a hard time reading it.
No, they edited it and reviewed it on like a 32-inch high definition monitor, and then when you got it in unit, you're like, oh, this doesn't really look that good.
Mm-hmm.
I got to talk about, and if we have the pro tips, sponsor, maybe it's the pet peeve sponsored also. I don't know who is going to be negative like that, but why on God's green earth do you go into a restaurant where you're prepared to spend $200, $300, $400 and the menu that you were handed looks like it just fell out of a Nickelodeon, like, maybe I'm dating myself here, like slime thing. Like, why does it have
Wait,
to?
are you talking double dare slime or you can't do that on television slime?
Double dare slime.
Yes.
Like unbelievable. Like, why can you not keep these things clean? And do you need to keep them for a decade? Let's like swap these things out. And then it goes back to your guys' point too, the investment. Invest in these menus.
I've sat at places where the people at the same table I was sitting at had an old version of the menu, and I had the new menu.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've experienced that.
You were living in the future.
Apparently I was. You know what I mean? I got all the price increases.
Yeah.
I got the cheesesteak sandwich updated picture.
That might be a pretty fun sweepstakes. It's like you have like 5 old menus with old timey pricing on it. And the 5 lucky customers get that menu that night.
Oh, that's a cool gift.
Yeah, it's fun.
And then I think we talked about, recently we talked about, the air grate having its own ecosystem.
Yeah.
Your menu shouldn't either. Okay.
No.
So, are we taking care of these things? Like you said, like, I shouldn't have to, pick up your menu and want to immediately sanitize my hands. You know what I mean? That's not,
And it doesn't need to be, laminated, like you're in a, BW3s. But it should be wiped down. And if it's on nice paper, throw away the paper and put new paper in every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they make sleeves too.
Yeah.
Well, sleeves, the laminate, but like, again, is the laminate fraying? Is that, all these things and if that's happening like quickly, find somebody else to do it. Find a different way to you're cutting corners somewhere and it's going to end up showing up in your customer's face.
The options are limitless, quite frankly. If you even try to scratch the surface on your options, you'll find out you can find exactly what you need. And everything we're talking about here is available.
Yeah.
At ease.
So getting these menus printed, do you use a local print shop?
Mm-hmm.
That's would be my suggestion. I would suggest, listen, bartering is real.
Yeah.
So
everybody loves to work in trade.
To go to Kinko's or to go to some of these national places, find your local print shop, go in, make them a deal, shoot for some gift cards. You might be able to get free menus. Who knows? But make those connections. Okay. You're also supporting the local economy. In some circumstances, should you even invest in a printer in-house? You know what I mean? So you can quickly do it, get the right paper, depending on how your menu's set up and if you're able to do that, but can you make those changes and just print them in-house, even weekly or monthly, and
yeah, I think it's automatic if you're a multi-unit.
Yeah.
You got a central office. You should have a big RoboCop type printer,
And I will say that whatever's holding your menu, I know there's Cleveland Menu, which again, they're not a sponsor, but I'll give them a little plug here. Like there are things that you can use to hold your menu that look really good.
Yeah.
And I think that's something everyone should invest in and think about, but know that it does have a finite shelf life and that you are going to have to upgrade and revamp it at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. And we talked about material matters. I don't think there's a wrong answer here, but based on your concept, based on your demographic, based on the feel you want, is it like, again, laminated? Is it that paper, that unrippable kind of like vinyl stuff?
That stuff was hot like 10 years ago. I don't see it as much anymore.
Yeah. 10 years ago, I think even 5 years ago, it was like, but those things ebb and flow. So just, whatever fits. Menu layout, strategic placement. There's something with a triangle.
Oh, wow.
There's a triangle. What is it?
2025 is the year of the golden triangle.
I like that.
The golden triangle. That's
What's that mean, Dave?
The golden triangle is the placement on the menu when you're looking at a menu. It's where your eyes go first, second, third, so you put your most profitable thing. So we'll put a little golden triangle in the show notes so you can learn a little bit more about that. But there is a rhyme or reason to the placement of the menu. Using negative space to avoid overcrowding. On the menu, enhance readability. I'm a big proponent on presentations and stuff, and different marketing materials of like, you got all this space here, let's make this bigger, again, in our advanced age, our eyes are going, make the font bigger, make it readable, all those different things. Got the first pro tip of this episode. Pro tip, invest in visual appeal. Okay. If you want to sell more of your profitable dishes, use high quality pictures on your menu to showcase them.
And I did the episode on taking food photography for menus, online menus. The same is true for print menus. The best one is that 45-degree angle where it shows the top and side of the plate and is able to show the depth and volume of the dish. The best photo. That's just my opinion. But
play around with it. Do some stuff yourself. Do some research. There's all kinds of resources for this, including the episode that you did on that. But people eat with their eyes. They want to know, your top dishes, your most profitable stuff. Make sure that that you've got the appropriate images, but also don't do too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't have to have a what's the late night diner with all the pictures. Help me out here, guys.
Late night Denny's?
Did you just point to the
Waffle House?
Maybe it's Denny's.
Probably the best institution of all time.
Denny's? Is that what I'm thinking of? where you don't even have to say, you're just like, you've been at the bar one more hour than you should have been, and you don't even have to say it. You're just like,
I think it's Denny's.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, if I found myself in any diner, it's Denny's.
Yeah,
at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Great place to be.
Yeah.
Superbird was a mighty fine sandwich.
What is it?
The Superbird.
Superbird.
I remember that from my youth.
Okay, nice.
Psychology of menu pricing. Okay, now we could do a whole episode on this, but
best.
Are you using rounded numbers? Are you using 99 or 95? Just some psychology around that, like 99, 95 are more of a, maybe a concept that's playing more into a value play. Solid numbers look a little bit more
fancy.
Maybe it's a little fancier or whatever. So, but, whatever feels clean and most, the best for your concept, go with that. I between 99 and 95, I say 99 because why not make the 4 cents? They're going to give it to you and it's still $6.99 is just as much $7 as $6.95.
Yeah, the only argument I have to that is a lot of times you round up your menu prices to a 5 at the end, whether it's 25, I guess 50 has a 0 at the end. But the 5 at the end changes less numbers when you do incremental price increases.
No, I agree with that if it's not a 9.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow, we're getting deep in the menu pricing science.
Well, this bullet point was psychology of menu pricing.
Okay,
let's get in the brain, baby.
There it is.
And then this is another pro tip. Leave your beverage prices off the menu. Okay, this gives you the ability to change your pricing without reprinting.
Yeah.
We've done this. Anthony, how many times have you done this?
6 million.
It's crazy, and it's probably generated that much income for people.
Perhaps.
So encourage them to focus on quality and not cost, and then provides flexibility for seasonal fluctuating beverage options and things like that. And then listen, you want to change the coffee 10 cents. You want to change the soft drinks 15 cents. You want to, you don't have to reprint the whole menu in order to do that.
You don't even have to tell your staff. You just go to the POS and switch it up.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, somebody paying $2.50 for a Diet Coke is still going to order a Diet Coke when it's $2.95.
Listen, I've heard that argument, and I'm glad we're on that subject. And someone and I were discussing it the other day. They're like, I can't believe this corporate chain is charging like $3.89 for a soft drink. That's preposterous. I'm like, well, it's not one soft drink. Like so many people sit down and get 3 or 4 20-ounce beverages. Go to the gas station and buy 3 or 4 20-ounce beverages. You're going to be way more than what a restaurant. So $4, not really a bad deal.
You don't get free refills on your Polar Pop?
Yeah, that's it.
It is interesting because I am at the season of maybe oversharing my advanced age. My thing is, do I get water to hydrate or do I get a drink?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
yes.
But
the answer is yes.
I don't care about the price. Like I'm not saying, like I'm not making that decision whether it's $2.50 or $4. Like if I want a Diet Coke, I'm getting a Diet Coke.
No, for sure.
And call me Daddy Warbucks or Mr. Big.
Now you may look at the cocktail menu and decide to have the $10 cocktail versus the $15.
Correct.
But again, Diet Coke or
endless
Sprite
Diet Cokes
or Dr. Pepper or whatever your
drink
vice
choices.
is. Yeah.
The exception to that would be your to-go stuff, your to-go offerings when you talk about online ordering, right? And so I'm a firm believer that you should lower your price on beverages on your online ordering. And so what I see is a lot of operators are laying at like $1.99 for their to-go drinks. Reason being because they only get one, right? They can't come back and get refills on the drinks. And so if you want to sell more to-go drinks with your offerings, offer that cheaper soda.
But are you seeing soft drinks like fountain?
Yeah.
See, my position on that, because of the ability to travel well, is go with the bottle.
Yeah, you can totally do that too.
And charge a premium.
Yeah.
Because people are like, I got to have my Orange Crush.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And while we're talking about this, online menus, like make sure you're offering those beverages on your online.
Yes. Make sure you have pictures for everything online.
It'd be nice if at the end of the order, it popped up and said, hey, would you like to add a beverage?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, would you.
And if you have the value person, do the 2 liters. You don't have to have 97 2 liters, but get, the regular, the diet, and then 2 or 3.
Yeah. Right. No, for sure. Visual appeal and menu content. So using pictures strategically, we kind of talked about that. High quality images. Don't overwhelm the menu. Descriptions. Guys, listen. Descriptions seem daunting at times.
No, it's not.
However,
not in the age of AI.
However, yes, thank you. ChatGPT for idea generation.
Yeah.
Buy the subscription. It's $20 a month. You can upload. You can actually upload your menu to it, ask it questions, and it'll spit it back out in the same document. It's incredible. So descriptions should be a lot easier these days. Do them, make them appealing, make them invoke a feeling. Put some time into those.
These mics are good.
They are pretty good.
I think with the menu descriptions too, try to avoid overselling and being too flowery on those though.
Yeah, sure.
There's something to be said about finding a sweet spot.
Genuine.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'd like to put the description back in menu description, like just describe what this is, not small batch artisan, blah, blah, blah. Like, what is this? This is chicken piccata with bacon. You know,
and
like whatever
and every
culinary delight you want.
And every appetizer on the menu has fried to a golden brown
and grilled to perfection.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so be a little. You can be a little creative on that.
Oh, thank goodness! I know how that was grilled to mediocrity.
Oh,
I'm so reassured now.
That's good.
We had dinner last night with a bunch of people. Jamie had airline chicken. And I swear to God, it came right off of the airline, like from the Delta, Sky Miles Club. It
fell out of the airplane.
Oh yeah, it was boiled chicken, and I was like, "Oh my God, that looks horrible." And him and Brett both got the same thing, and are just looking at each other.
And they're like, "Yeah, it was bad."
Oh, he's like, "This is the worst."
That's amazing.
I know, but it was like I had not seen someone have a bad meal to that level. They excelled.
Yeah,
that restaurant excelled.
My steak was good.
No, it was
at that item.
Yeah. It was at that item. No, my food was. I had the same. It was delicious.
Yeah. Some common pitfalls. Again, not only overloading the menu with pictures, but don't overload the menu with too many options. We don't need 15 burgers. And now, again, conceptually, maybe that's your thing. But so again, stay true to who you are. But man, I tell you what, doing something great fewer times, I feel, is way more impactful than doing a lot of things mediocre.
Yeah, not only that, but there's serious business implications and operational implications on the back end of that. Yeah. It's one, you almost had to do it. So when you're talking about the length of the menu, you always got to remember, and I'll say this till I'm blue in the face, and you've heard me say it time and time again in front of this microphone, a smaller menu is easier to inventory. It's easier to order, easier to prep, easier to execute, easier to memorize, easier to sell, easier to digest from a customer standpoint.
Sounds like it's just easier.
100% all the way through. So you got to find, again, there's a pocket there where you have just enough offerings, just enough variants, but not too many and not too little, right? And so it's incredibly important, especially in today's day and age, when you're talking about the moves you have to make. And not everybody talks about this. It's like the restaurants, you have to pay people a livable wage, which I think is fantastic. Unfortunately, with the elasticity point of pricing reaching its snapping point, its breaking point, something's got to give. You can't charge anymore to pay for this labor.
Sure.
So you got to do more with less, right? Or you got to do less with less. And I would argue, if you don't want to wring your staff out like towels and you want to keep them around, you should probably entertain the idea of doing less with less, right? So if you shrink your offerings and simplify your processes, you need less staff to execute it. Hence, you can pay your staff more individually. You just have less of them.
Yeah. Yeah, no question. No, so that's super important. And then something that just seems like I shouldn't even have to bring up, but typos, inconsistencies.
Unless you're a Thai restaurant. Then I want to see it.
Oh, then it's
in ethnic restaurants, I want to see typos. 100%.
Typos like in
No, I want you to, because to me, in my experience, because I search these places out, I want to see like egregiously misspelled things because I want you to not really understand. I want to, because I'm at your restaurant to eat your food, authentic food from your place of birth. If you know our language too well, you've been here too long. You've lost the authenticity.
Oh, I guess there's something to that. Yeah.
There is.
All right.
Also, it's funny.
Okay, so if you go to a Thai restaurant, just turn it off. but otherwise, let's make sure you spell shit right.
All right,
I'm not even lying though. There's like all jokes aside, I
appreciate it. I appreciate it.
That's fair. That's fair.
I appreciate it. Special tips. This is the ending, maybe pro tip. Waterfall.
All right.
Okay. Special tips for operators. Regular updates. Okay, so what's your cadence of changing the menu, making it fresh? It always doesn't have to just be a complete price increase. Like if you can change some items and do some stuff and maybe even tweak the design a little bit, those menu pricing increases sometimes can be more palatable. It doesn't just look like the same menu with higher prices. It looks like you put some thought into it and cared about the customer. QR codes are still a thing, so do you have the ability to, use a QR code versus maybe a printed menu in order to make those changes quicker and pivot faster? How are you analyzing your menu performance? So are you pulling your POS, looking to see, how things are selling, what's selling, and we have a whole episode, I think maybe 36 or somewhere in that range.
Menu engineering.
Menu engineering.
That was very good.
and if it's not 36, I apologize, but it's back that way.
Well, since we've recorded that, there's been a couple of technological breakthroughs of live costing software that actually feeds into your invoices and updates your prices on the back end. And you have live food costing and menu engineering at the tip of your fingers 24/7.
Yeah.
So long as you have someone scanning in your invoices, you have live costing data. Yeah. And I think that's incredibly advantageous. But to piggyback off that, Dave, it's the day and age we're in with all the third party, with all the online. You have your menu in so many different places. There's a high number of a series of steps you have to take to do an effective menu change. Would highly recommend, based on this, because I think you should change your menu periodically, at least a few times a year, right? It should not be static, whether it's pricing or updating dishes based on seasonality, popularity, so on and so forth. Make sure you take the time to develop a punch list for everything that you need to do to update your menu. How many times have you looked for an item online and it's not available in store, or prices aren't updated in this website, or things like that? So
I love that.
There's a lot going on. So just make yourself a punch list and then have someone in your organization that's responsible for each bullet point to make it very easy, because it'd be 10 or 12 bullet points by the time you're done. From the developmental process to analyzing pricing, to updating verbiage, to menu placement, to updating the different platforms, whether it's, third party or Easy Cater or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Have an SOP.
That's what I'm saying.
How about that? Brian, you like that, SOPs?
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So in conclusion, guys, the menu is an investment. Okay. It's not an expense. Get that out of your brain. I encourage you to view menu design, like go out, see what's out there. There's plenty of resources online, but get out in your community and see what you like, what you don't like. The national chains do a great job. And I would tell you, a little call to action at the end here. If you guys have a well-designed menu that you love, like share it with us. We'd love to put it in the show notes, put it on the website, promote it in the newsletter. We love the success stories about menu overhauls, maybe where you started, where you ended up. Even if you got something yourself that you were inspired by this and you did some work, we'd love to see it. So
love this.
All right.